Well, the scene was Knowsley on Merseyside. It was Friday evening, and what happened there had been bubbling away for months, and it was to do with young men in a migrant hotel. Parents of a school, a girls' school, just down the road, becoming increasingly concerned. Now, of course, mainstream media will tell you there is no hard evidence, but a strong belief in that community that young men who are living in that hotel were talking to girls, often underage girls, and a video emerged, and that seemed to light the blue touch paper as far as the community was concerned. They announced they'd be holding a protest, which led to a counter-protest from Care for Calais. And then something extraordinary and really rather horrible happened. Some young men turned up, dressed in black, with backpacks, carrying sledgehammers and fireworks, and they proceeded to smash in the front windows of a police van. That led to condemnation from right across the political spectrum. Foreign Office Minister Andrew Mitchell said the violence was completely unacceptable. Well, we agree with that, Mr. Mitchell. He said, we have a duty to look after these people. Well, yes, but equally, they have a duty to behave. Lisa Nandy, Shadow Levelling Up Secretary, said all of this was a result of a toxic mix of the anti-migrant rhetoric coming from the government. And Claire Mosley, the founder of the so-called refugee charity Care for Calais, said she was worried about the poor men in the hotel and she was trying to get in touch with them. Well, Claire, I'd have thought you've got all their phone numbers already. After all, Care for Calais meet people in the camps in Dunkirk, give them advice how to cross the English Channel, and then often meet them on the beaches in Kent with food parcels and all else. I wouldn't have thought you were short, particularly of phone numbers. Tim Nor-Hilton of Refugee Action talked about people, a baying mob who are the far right, whether you want to be called it or not. And local MP Sir George Howarth said those demonstrating against refugees at the protest tonight do not represent this community. Well, Mr. Howarth, I've got news for you. They really do represent that community. What I don't know is who those young men in those black uniforms were. I have no idea who they were. Were they far right? Could they have been Antifa? I simply can't answer that question, but I'm pleased to say that in the last hour, Merseyside police have confirmed that it was initially a peaceful protest and then some people arrived and it turned violent. But let me ask you at home, do you think the people of Knowsley should be called far right? Let me know your thoughts, farage@gbnews.uk. Nobody has been speaking up on behalf of that community. It simply hasn't been allowed. And when you approach members of that community in Knowsley and ask them to speak, they're generally just too terrified to do so. They're worried, I guess, that they show their face and the national media will be knocking on the door the next day, going through every Facebook post they've ever made and perhaps making their life a misery. I also think that much of the rhetoric that we've had from Sky News, the BBC, mainstream politicians, is to say, don't any of you ever dare protest about migrant hotels, or you'll be classed as far right too. And we've seen very similar tactics to do with the protests in Ireland. My fear, my genuine fear, is that we're only at the beginning of this process. I'm hoping and praying that all these young men, those that have thrown their passports into the English Channel, that are coming into this country, my prayer is we do not become like Malmö and Stockholm in Sweden.